President, please be seated. The chamber is back in session. Good morning, Mr. Witness. Are you ready? Answer, yes, I am ready. President, thank you. And now I hand the floor to the International Deputy Co-Prosecutor to continue putting question to the witness.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Witness, when you were here a few years ago to testify, you stated that Chin was the leader of Division 920 and that San was Ta Chin's replacement as secretary of that division. I'd like to ask you now about another individual named Ta Se. Do you know who Ta Se was in relation to Division 920?
I do not know the name of, I do not know the person with the name Tasai.
Allow me to attempt a different pronunciation. Do you know the name Tasoi in relation to Division 920? Tasoi.
Yes, I know Tasoi. Tasoi was Ta Chen deputy.
Can you tell the court what happened to Ta Chin and Ta Soi in 1977?
President, we are discussing about the name Chen, and now I heard through the translation the name Chen. National Deputy Prosecutor. In fact, he read the name Ta Chen. President, Co-Prosecutor, please reformulate your question, especially with the name.
I will do that, Mr. President. Mr. Witness, I was asking if you were able to tell the court what happened to Ta Chin and Ta Soi in 1977.
I do not know about what happened to them. Later on, I learned that they were accused of betrayal.
I'd like to read to you from one of your statements that you gave to the co-investigating judges. This is E3/58, English ERN 002-500-88289, Khmer 002-39936, and French 002-83914. Mr. Witness, this is what you stated, quote, "One day, it was probably in late 1976 or early 1977, Ta Chin telephoned to my father, telling him that the general staff called him to a meeting. I heard from my father," close quote. You then go on to describe a couple of other points in reference to, quote, "before the arrest of Ta Chin and Ta Soi and after the death of Ta Chin and Ta Soi," close quote. Does that refresh your memory that Ta Chin and Ta Soy were arrested and killed in 1977.
អត់យល់នៃដែលសួរបាទពូ
I do not understand your question. What I know is that at that time they were called to work, and I did not know what happened to them, and when they died, only later on that they announced that both individuals were traitors.
Do you recall who called them to work?
តែចំណន់ហ្នឹងដឹងថាខាងលើ
It was the upper echelon, but I did not know the exact individual from the upper echelon who ordered that.
And when you refer to the upper echelon, are you referring to individuals in Phnom Penh or elsewhere?
យោងទៅលើអ្នកនៅ
It was the individuals from Phnom Penh.
Do you remember the month that Ta Chin and Ta Soy were called to work in Phnom Penh?
អត់ចាំទេបាទចាំ
I cannot recall that.
Mr. Witness, on the case file, we have an S-21 prisoner list at E3/342. That indicates that the Division 920 Secretary Men Meng, alias Chin, entered S-21 on 16 March 1977. That's, Your Honors, at number 5118. And that Deputy Secretary Ea Choi, alias Soy, entered S-21 on 17 February 1977. That's at number 1966. Mr. Witness, those dates of February and March 1977, does that refresh your memory that it could have been around February or March 1977 that Chin and Soy were called to Phnom Penh?
I knew that they were sent to Phnom Penh, but I could not recall the exact months and year.
Do you know what happened to the wives of Ta Chin and Ta Soy after they were sent to Phnom Penh?
ដឹងតែក្រោយគេប្រកាស
Only after the announcement was made that I was aware that they was accused of being a traitors.
Just for clarification, when you say they were accused of being traitors, are you referring to the wives in addition to Ta Chin and Ta Soy?
I cannot get your question. Can you please repeat it?
Yes. I'm asking if you know what happened to the wives of Ta Chin and Ta Soy after Ta Chin and Ta Soy were sent to Phnom Penh.
ក្រោយមកដឹងតែគេយកកូនយក
Later on, I was aware that their wives and children were taken away. So when Ta Chin and Ta Soy were accused of being traitors, so the fate that happened to their wives and children would be the same.
I want to ask you about two excerpts from your OCIJ interviews. The first one is at E3/58. This is at English ERN 002 50092, Khmer 002 39940, and French 002 83918. And Mr. Witness, you're testifying about a discussion that your father had with the Northeast Zone Secretary Ya, Ta Chin, and Ta Soy, who we were just discussing. And I'll quote from your statement. You said, quote, "One day when I was preparing meals for my father, who was meeting with Ta Ya, I could hear their discussion. In that discussion, my father suggested that Ta Ya talk to Ankar for a negotiation with Vietnam and not to fight with Vietnam. That suggestion was also agreed by Ta Chin, Ta Soy, and Ta Vieng, who were also present in that meeting." Close quote. Mr. Witness, then you go on at your statement E3/57, and this is at English ERN 002 90507, Khmer 002 87704, and French 003 53103. You say the following, quote, "One day at a dinner, my father talked with Ta Ya, Ta Soy, Ta Vieng, and Ta Chin about the abolition of currency and the attack on the Vietnamese in Toyo Sang area. At that time, my father suggested Ta Ya would make a protest against that during the assembly meeting because Ta Ya was his senior. After the assembly, Ta Ya, Ta Vieng, and Ta Chin disappeared." Close quote. Now, Mr. Witness, do you know why your father was in favor of negotiating with Vietnam rather than going to war against them?
ជំនាន់ហ្នឹងមាន
At that time, he did say that at that time the Vietnamese attacked to capture the Yosang. I cannot recall the exact location of the Yosang now. At that time, the order was issued to fight and recapture the Yosang. And my father made the suggestion that they should talk to people at the upper echelon to negotiate, to avoid the fighting. And after he came back from the meeting, after they came back from the meeting, they disappeared.
And that meeting that you refer to, where the Northeast Zone Secretary Ya may have suggested that Ankar negotiate with Vietnam rather than fight them, when and where did this meeting take place?
ចាំពេលអត់បានទៅវាជួប
The meeting with the secretary took place in Mandalgiri province.
And just to clarify, do you know of another meeting when Secretary Ya may have conveyed this suggestion to his superiors?
មិនបានដឹងទេបាទលើគាត់
I was not aware of this. I was not aware whether he raised the issue to people in the upper echelon.
The meeting that you mentioned that took place in Mondulkiri with Secretary Ya, do you recall when that took place?
នៅទីរួមខេត្ត
The meeting took place at the Mondulkiri provincial city.
Do you recall the date, the approximate month and year that that meeting took place?
ចាំខែឆ្នាំអត់បានទេ
I cannot recall the exact months and year.
How did you learn about this meeting?
ពលនឹកឃើញកាលជំនាន់ហ្នឹង
I remember that at that time they inspected the battlefields in the province.
Who was the they that inspected the battlefields in the province?
កាលជំនាន់ហ្នឹងអ្នក
The Chen was in charge of the battlefields, and at the sector level, it was the person with the name Vieng who was directly in charge of the battlefields.
Mr. Witness, do you know whether confessions were sent from Phnom Penh to Sector 105 with the names of individuals who had been implicated and who were supposed to be arrested?
ខ្ញុំមិនបានដឹងទេ
I am not aware of this.
Were you ever aware of messengers who delivered documents from Phnom Penh to the K-17 office?
អត់យល់ឯកសារទេ
I do not understand.
Did you ever see any messengers delivering documents that had come from Phnom Penh to the office at K-17?
ឯកសារស្អីអត់យល់ពីឯកសារ
What exactly that you are talking about? I mean the document that you are referring to.
At this point, I'm just asking generally if you were aware of messengers arriving at the K-17 office with documents coming from Phnom Penh, any type of documents.
អត់បានដឹងទេ
No, I was not aware of it.
I'd like to read to you an excerpt from an OCIJ interview of Hamansi. This is E3/366 at English ERN 002-50750, Khmer 002-424-13-14, and French 002-831-65-66. And this is what Hamansi says, quote, I know that Tassan, Sarun's former Division 801 deputy, came to replace Chin. At Keosema, I personally saw Tassan arrest many soldiers of Division 920 and send them to the center. Tasopia let me read confessions from the center in which soldiers of Division 920 had implicated persons they knew and fellow soldiers. I don't remember the names of the persons who made the confessions. I remember that one person they implicated was the chairman of a company based in Keosema district, close quote. Mr. Witness, does that refresh your memory of seeing or learning about confessions that had been sent from Phnom Penh to Sector 105?
I was not aware of this matter.
Mr. Witness, can you tell the chamber who Ham Ansi was?
As far as I know, there was no name Hom Han. International National Deputy Co-Prosecutor. The name of the person is Hom Ham Orsi.
Mr. Witness, with that corrected pronunciation, does that are you able to identify that individual for the chamber?
I cannot get the name clearly. What I can say that there was no person named Hom Ham. Co-prosecutor, Mr. Witness, the name of the person that my international colleague asked you is Hom Ham Orsi. At that time, we referred to him as Onsi. He was the district secretary.
Was he a relation of yours?
Onsi was my father's younger brother.
Mr. Witness, can you tell the chamber, if you're aware, what types of people would be sent to the Phnom Krau Dam security office when they were arrested?
I did not know about that matter.
Allow me to read from one of your statements. This is E3/58, English ERN 002 50088, Khmer 002 39936, French 002 83914. Quote, those who were brought for re-education in Phnom Krau Dam Security Office included those who broke disciplines, committed immoral offense, stealing, robbery, and work evasion. In each case, the offender had to prepare a biography, close quote. Mr. Witness, does that refresh your memory that it would be people in these categories who committed immoral offenses and work evasion that were arrested and detained at the Phnom Krau Security Office?
Yes, there were cases such as those you just mentioned.
You also stated in your earlier testimony before this court and this is at E1/152.1 at 09:56:11. Quote, during that era, as I stated earlier on, those who did not respect orders were considered pacifists, enemy, and those who had the background as teachers or officials of the previous regime, those were the targets of removal, close quote. Mr. Witness, can you tell us who decided what acts were considered immoral offenses in Sector 105, or that officials of the previous regime should be removed?
អត់យល់អត្ថន័យបាទ
I cannot get your question.
Was it your father's decision as the secretary of Sector 105 who had committed immoral offenses, or that individuals who were of the previous regime should be removed, or did he receive instructions from elsewhere?
នឹងសូមបញ្ជាក់មកអានឹងជាការ
It was the instruction issued from above, and he simply followed that instruction.
And when you say the instructions issued from above, who are you referring to?
I mean the top people in Phnom Penh.
When you were here previously, you testified that meetings were held at K17 office on a monthly basis. Did your father convey instructions at those meetings to others in Sector 105 regarding who was considered enemies?
មតិណែនាំពីភ្នំពេញ
He conveyed the instructions from Phnom Penh to district secretaries. And as for the announcements or accusations about who were considered as traitors, I was not aware of.
Were there any other methods other than meetings that your father would convey the instructions from the center?
ការប្រជុំ
There were different types of meetings during which instructions or circulars from the top were circulated, and also the meetings would discuss about the tasks to be performed.
Which party leaders in Phnom Penh provided instructions to your father regarding security matters?
I do not know. The messages came through telegrams advising on certain issue rather. I do not know who they were.
I'd like to read to you from statement E3/58 that you gave to the investigating judges, English 002-50089, Khmer 002-39937, and French 002-83915. You stated that telegrams or reports that you sent from your father regarding security matters were sent to Nuon Chea, or Uncle Nuon, and you gave the following testimony about the instructions that were received in response. Quote, "Before my father's death, Nuon Chea regularly instructed on security matters, such as to be vigilant of Vietnamese enemy or insider enemy, the ambition of Vietnam, and ideological tasks for education to the district level. In addition, Nuon Chea sent the typewritten messages to the sector level to go to study in Phnom Penh." And when you were previously presented with that passage in when you appeared in court, and you were asked, did you ever witness Nuon Chea issue instructions on security matters, on maintaining vigilance, and on the presence of enemies in those telegrams, you stated, "I recall some instruction at that time. Instruction also served as the reminders for cadres in general. Of course, there was such instruction." Close quote. Mr. Witness, does that refresh your memory that you received such instructions, or that the office received such instructions from Nuon Chea?
That did happen. There was much more in the instruction. I mean, the content was much more than that, but I could not recall them all.
And were these the types of instructions that your father would pass on to other sector cadres?
Yes, he did send and forward to others. It was not regular visits. He would go to Phnom Penh whenever he was called.
And are you able to estimate how frequently he would be called to Phnom Penh?
I cannot recall it.
Whenever he returned from these meetings in Phnom Penh, would he convey instructions that he had obtained from those meetings in Phnom Penh?
After his return from Phnom Penh, he called other concerned people from districts to attend the training session which were held at K17.
Thank you, Mr. Witness. Mr. President, I believe my time is up because the civil parties have some additional questions.
President, thank you. The floor is now given to lead co-lawyers for civil parties to put questions through this witness. You may proceed now. Good morning, Mr. President, Your Honors. May I seek the floor for Sun Sawon, the lawyer for civil parties? President, yes. Sun Sawon, thank you. Good morning, Mr. President, Your Honors, and everyone in and around the courtroom. Good morning, Mr. Witness. Witness, yes, good morning. Lawyer, my name is Sun Sivon. I am from the legal aid for Cambodia. I am representing civil parties, and I will ask follow-up questions. You have answered several and a lot of questions asked by the co-prosecutor, and please, I seek your understanding and cooperation in answering my further questions. My first question is about the time when you became a decoder, decoding the secret messages for your dad, for your father. When did you start working as a decoder Answer: I cannot recall it well, the exact year when I became the decoder, since it happened a long time ago. During the time, the bombardment, the aerial bombing was intensified, and it may have been in 1973 when I became the decoder or started working. Question: how old were you at the time? Answer: I am now 56 or 55 years old. Question: at the time, were you a decoder or did you have other roles to play? Answer: no, I did not have other roles and other function beside a decoder. Question: did you circulate messages from your father up to the upper echelon? Answer: no. Question: were you not a messenger at the time? Answer: you are asking me about the time when I was in Sector 105 or when exactly? Question: it was the time when you were in 105. Answer: no, I was not a messenger when I was in 105. Question: when did you become a messenger? Answer: when I was in the forest, that I was a messenger. I was not a messenger when I was in 105. Lawyer: thank you. During the time that you became a messenger, where did you send the letters or message to? From which location to which location you sent the letters to? Answer: you are asking me about Sector 105, the time when I was there? Question: I am asking you about B20. Answer: during the time I circulated letters to uncles from houses to houses. Lawyer: thank you. You stated that you sent letters to uncles. Who were those uncles? Do you know their names? Answer: during the time there were Uncle Nguyen and Uncle Paul. Question: who was Uncle Nguyen and who was Uncle Paul? Answer: it was Pol Pot. Question: what about Uncle Nguyen? Answer: it was Nguyen Chia, said the witness. Lawyer: beside the two uncles that you sent a letter to, who else did you send letters to? Answer: to my recollection, there were many houses during that area, and the houses belongs to Hu Nam, Hu Yun, and Kisampon. I cannot recall that well, but I saw them in those houses, and during the time I was quite young. I was a pretty young boy. Lawyer: thank you. Regarding the letters you delivered to Uncle Nguyen and Kieu Sampon, did you destroy those letters after you received them, or you deliver them directly, deliver the letters directly to them? Answer: no, I delivered the messages or letters directly to them, not destroy them. Question: did you read the content of the messages? Answer: no, I did not. Question: do you know the office 870? Answer: I have heard of the name, but I do not know the exact location of 870. I saw on the cover of the letter, on the envelope of the letter, saying to 870. Question: K17 was in Sector 105, which was in charge by your father. Regarding Sector 105, which province was under 105? Answer: there was only Mondulkiri, the autonomous province under Sector 105. Question about the reporting system. How did your father report to the upper level? Answer. The reports were done through telegrams, said the witness. And when he arrived in Phnom Penh, he made oral reports by himself. Question. What about the security matters? Who did your father report to in relation to security matters? Do you know that? Answer. I do not know, said the witness. Lawyer. Thank you. As a decoder of the secret messages, did you ever decode the messages in relation to the purges and the killings? Answer. I do not know. In fact, the decoders did not know the content of the message. Also, although we decoded it into letters. Question. You said that the decoders did not know the content of the messages. How did you decode them into letters? Did they use codes in the messages? Answer. In fact, the decoders themselves did not know the content of the messages, although we decoded the message into different codes. Question regarding the telegrams. Where did you receive those telegrams from? Mostly. Answer. Some of the telegrams were from districts, from the upper echelon, and from other units at the borders. Question. Regarding the telegrams, you stated that they were from A70 and from other units. Did the names of the sender include in those telegrams from A70? Answer. Sometime I saw names of senders, and most of the time I could see the name of Uncle Nguyen. Lawyer, thank you. You stated that most of the messages from A70, the sender's name was Uncle Nguyen. And what was the content of the telegrams about? Answer. The content was about security matters and about the instruction on how to build the dams and dikes. Lawyer, thank you. Regarding security matter, did the security matters include purges and arrests and killings? Answer. It concerned the situation at the borders, about the soldiers at the borders. Lawyer, thank you. In the morning, you told the co-prosecutor in relation to the disappearance of your father. You were with your father at the time. Is that correct? Answer, yes, that is correct. Question. Before the disappearance of your father, did any noticeable thing happen before the disappearance of your father? President, please hold on. Please hold on, Mr. Witness. You have the floor now. Copper.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm not sure why this civil party lawyer uses the word disappearance. I think it is quite clear what happened to his father. There seems to be evidence that he was murdered by Kampoon. So the word disappearance in this particular case is inappropriate, therefore I object.
Lawyer for civil party. In relation to the objection put by counsel for Mr. Nguyen Chia, I am asking about the disappearance of his father, and the witness says that his father disappeared after Angkar called his father to Phnom Penh. And I would like to explore about what happened before his father went to Phnom Penh. Were there any instructions before the disappearance of his father? And were there instructions about how and when to send his father to Phnom Penh? President, the objection is overruled. The question is based on the evidence provided by the witness himself, and if you want to explore more, you can ask during the time that you question this witness. Mr. Witness, please answer the question put by the lawyer for civil party, if you recall it. Witness, before his disappearance, nothing was known. But the situation at the border were problematic. The child of Uncle Kampoon was arrested at the time. And then my father was called to attend the training sessions in Phnom Penh. And as I said, one individual died at the office of Sector 105. Lawyer, thank you. I have a follow-up question in relation to this matter. After your father died, did you have intention to find the reason why your father died? Answer, during the time I was a pretty young boy, but I just wanted to know why he died. And there was the announcement that Uncle Kampoon killed my father. But no one believed in that announcements in the Kampoon was related to my mother, and the two individuals were working closely together with one another during the resistance. So how could they kill each other? Question, did your father has any issue with Kampoon when he was in Phnom Penh? Do you know? Answer, I have never noticed that they had any issue with one another. Lawyer, thank you. After your father died, what happened to you and your siblings or relatives? What were your fates? Answer, I was moved to grow vegetable at a rice for a period of time, and I was reassigned to work with Madame Ieng Thirit. Lawyer, thank you. When you came to work with Madame Ieng Thirit, when was that? Which year was that? Answer, I cannot recall the exact year, but I can recall that it was after my father died. Question, what kind of work did you do? Answer, I was her driver. Question, thank you. Where did you drive her to? Answer. It depended on her instruction. Sometimes I drove her to the streams or to the irrigation or dams. Lawyer, thank you. President interrupts. You have to wait, lawyer for civil party. You have the floor first, Angdak Vise.
Oui, Monsieur le Président.
Mr. President, I intervene at this stage because I've been following the examination of the witness by the civil party for some time, and the witness has already been examined by this chamber for the first time, and he's being called back this time to talk about the Phnom Krom Security Center. Now he is talking about Ying Tirit, which has nothing to do with Phnom Krom, so I'll object to these types of questions that are irrelevant to the subject matter of the summoning of this witness.
Lawyer for civil party. Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to respond to the objection put by lawyer for Mr. Kyu Sompon. President interrupts. Please move on. The question and the issue you asked happened already, but you are reminded not to go beyond the facts before this chamber or the facts which are listening or hearing by which are heard by the chamber. Lawyer, thank you, Mr. President. I will move to another set of questions. Mr. Witness, I am now asking you about the time after your father died. Are you aware that your father's subordinates disappeared after one another? Answer, yes, I was aware later on. Question, how did you know about that? Answer, I knew from others that his subordinates disappeared under the accusation of treason. Lawyer, thank you. You told the co-prosecutor in this morning that perhaps 1,000 people were under your father's charge. Did those people have enough food to eat? Answer, it was not in Section 105. In fact, it was in charge of those people in K17. Almost 1,000 of them were under his charge. The food in the cooperative was just enough for them. They receive 2 times or 3 times a meal per day. Lawyer, thank you. You answered the question by the co-prosecutor in relation to the arrest of people and then detained at Phnom Krom security. Some of those people had committed moral offenses. And I have a question for you in relation to K17. Did many people who were detained there commit moral offenses, most of them? Answer, in fact, not many of them committed moral offenses, but usually they were under constant refashioning. Lawyer, thank you. I am now asking you about the commitment during the marriage. You stated that there were almost 1,000 people in K17. Were those people asked to voice their commitments? Answer, what kind of commitment are you talking about? Lawyer, I am asking about the wedding. Were they required to get married? Answer, they were asked to get married, and the marriage was organized for them. Question: who organized the marriage for them? Answer: unit chief made a request up the line so that those people could get married. Lawyer: thank you. To your observation, those who were requested by the unit chiefs to get married, did they get along with each other before the marriage took place, and were they at the age of consent? Answer: in fact, Angkar organized the marriages for them. Lawyer: thank you. What about you? When did you get married? Answer: I got married in 1985. Lawyer: thank you. Did you ever observe that the newlywed were happy with their spouses? Answer: some were happy with their spouses, but some other were trying their best to live along with their spouses. During the time, they had to do whatever asked and suggested by Angkar. Lawyer: thank you, Mr. Witness. What about those who refused or disobeyed the Angkar's order? What happened to them? Did you observe what happened to them? Answer: there was an incident happening. One individual was shot himself through that. That was the soldier who loved a lady, but he could not marry that lady. Later on, he shot himself through that. Lawyer: thank you. Do you happen to know an individual by the name Sun Vut, who was the chief of a battalion or company in your sector? Answer: no, I do not know that guy. Lawyer: thank you. I am done with my questioning, Mr. Witness. President, it is now lunch break. The chamber will take a lunch break from now until 1:30. Thank you, Mr. Witness. It is now a break time, lunch break. Thank you, Mr. Superior. I in the first session confused that you were Nyam Samnang. In fact, you are Superior. You may also take a rest during the lunch break, and the chamber will resume its hearing after the lunch break at 1:30, and you too have to be present at your location or your seats before 1:30. Security personnel are instructed to bring Mr. Kiew Sompon to the waiting room downstairs and have him returned into the courtroom before 1:30. The court is now in lunch break.
Ông ជំនុំជម្រះវិសម្លាញ់ក្នុងតុលាការកម្ពុជា ដែលគេស្គាល់ភាគច្រើនជាសាលាក្តីខ្មែរក្រហមត្រូវបានបង្កើតឡើងដើម្បីឆ្លើយតបទៅនឹងអក្រិតកម្មដែលបាន